name is Ettore Spadafora and I'm an assistant professor of management here at Saunders College of Business. Most of my research has been at the intersection of strategy, global strategy in particular, institutions and corporate governance. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about my paper entitled International Experience, Imitation, Location Choices, the role of experience interpretation assessment and its board-level microfoundations. So in this paper, we examine the role of experience interpretation assessment in firms' imitation of location choices. Location choices being the choices of where to locate. So now, what do we mean with international experience interpretation and assessment? So in this paper, we mean cognitive processes aimed at reflecting on, making sense of, and ultimately learning from experience. And specifically learn more than what you would by simply doing. So why focusing on international experience interpretation and assessment? So we know from previous research that firms with more international experience tend to imitate less their internationalization decisions of their peers. And that makes perfect sense. However, a common assumption in the existing literature is that firms are equally effective at interpreting and assessing their experience. To put it differently, the assumption is that the rate of learning associated with the accumulation of experience does not vary across firms. So we decided to relax this assumption and examine the role of experience interpretation assessment. In this study, we focused on the microfoundations of experience interpretation assessment. So we go to the micro level, to the level of individuals and groups within the firm. And based on this, we focused on the board of directors. So both individual level and group level deliberate cognitive processes. So the individual director and the board as a whole. So this study has three main takeaways. First, we provide additional evidence to the established argument in the literature that firms with more international experience tend to imitate less the internationalization decisions of their competitors. Second, we show that when learning from international experience increases due to processes of interpretation and assessment, firms' propensity to imitate the internationalization decisions of their competitors further decreases. And third, we show that younger directors, lower board turnover, smaller board equity ownership can favor the interpretation and assessment of firms' international experience. So this research has been completed. It's been recently accepted for publication on the Global Strategy Journal. So this paper could potentially lead to additional research. In particular, research examining the micro and macro determinants of experience interpretation assessment. And not just international experience, but experience in different domains.